Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I've had this one for a bit. I didn't want to rush and make a video, but I also don't really need 20 minutes to cover it, so here's a quick take that took a while to get to. But before we get into that, don't forget to check this great discount for it. You can find the link in both the video description and the top comment below. Alright, enough talk, let's get right into it.
Opening things up, our first reviewer gives us their take.
This reviewer initially had a very challenging roller coaster experience with this router system, which ultimately led to them returning it. As an IT professional, our reviewer was excited by the advanced feature set but ran into significant roadblocks. In their own home, a townhouse located near an airport, the system proved unstable. Advanced features like link aggregation, meant to boost internet speeds, instead caused the main router to get stuck in a constant reboot loop. Furthermore, the high-speed wireless bands were severely hampered by interference from nearby weather radar, making it impossible to maintain a stable, fast connection on the channels needed for top performance. The most baffling issue was that while speed tests to their internet provider showed incredibly fast gigabit speeds over Wi-Fi, any attempt to access the broader internet on that same high-speed band resulted in dial-up level performance, rendering it unusable for downloads or streaming. The compact size of the house also meant the mesh nodes were too close, causing interference rather than improving coverage. However, the story changed completely when this client set up the same 2-pack system for a family member in a large 4,000 square foot house with fiber internet. In this more spacious environment, far from any radar interference, the installation was flawless. Using the nodes as wired access points with a slightly older firmware, they achieved nearly the full internet speed in almost every corner of the large home, with impressively low latency over Wi-Fi. This second experience led them to conclude that this system performs exceptionally well in large homes in less congested areas, but is not well suited for smaller, condensed housing or locations with significant radio interference.
Awesome. Let's hear what our next reviewer has to share about their experience.
This reviewer wanted to clear up some common misconceptions surrounding this particular piece of networking hardware, drawing from several years of professional experience in the field. Our reviewer notes that the device itself feels like a prosumer product, sitting comfortably between high-end consumer gear and entry-level professional equipment. Despite initial skepticism about its compact size, a single unit proved more than capable of providing powerful whole-home Wi-Fi. The device does run warm, but its design includes ample ventilation, and it has remained stable after weeks of continuous operation. Right out of the box, a firmware update is essential to ensure the latest security patches and bug fixes are applied. The user interface for managing the router is quite comprehensive, though it may present a learning curve for those unfamiliar with networking concepts like wireless bands and standards. While a basic setup wizard gets you online, unlocking the system's full potential requires a deeper dive into its settings. In a real-world test within a 4,000 square foot, 2-story house, a single one of these routers dramatically outperformed a previous multi-unit mesh system. It provided twice the coverage and handled numerous connected devices, from phones and computers to smart home gadgets, without any buffering or slowdowns. To create an even more robust network, this client added a second unit, connecting it with a wired backhaul using existing coaxial cabling in the house. This access point configuration resulted in a flawless network that blankets the entire property with a strong signal, even extending to the driveway. The built-in roaming technology works seamlessly, allowing devices to move around the house without dropping connection. The reviewer also praised the included lifetime security suite, which has already proven its worth by blocking potential threats, along with the effective parental controls and traffic shaping features.
Great! Now let's see what our next reviewer has to say about their experience.
This reviewer apparently spaced on leaving feedback earlier, but wanted to chime in about this access point. They actually bought a couple of these units a while back and used them in a pretty large 2-story house. The goal was to get solid 5 GHz coverage everywhere without resorting to a mesh system. Initially, this client had replaced an older unit with just one of these, and noticed better range and speed on both 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz bands across various devices. Even with just one, they could connect in the furthest rooms, but the signal wasn't quite where they wanted it. After some research, they decided a single router just wouldn't cut it for perfect 5 GHz coverage throughout the entire home. So they added a second one, setting it up as an access point. Of course, this requires running an Ethernet cable between the main unit and the access point, not a problem for them, but something to consider if you're thinking about this setup. Only the 5 GHz radio is enabled on the access point, as the main one covers the entire house well enough on the 2.4 GHz band. According to our reviewer, this dual router setup has been rock solid from day one. They keep the router settings relatively simple, using a dedicated NAS for storage and forwarding a few ports on their server computer. The built-in VPN server gets regular use without any issues. They don't bother with traffic monitoring or the protection features, and the network hosts a typical mix of devices, computers, phones, security cameras, and a printer, all working without a hitch. Wi-Fi speeds are as good as expected with a strong signal. The one thing this client did have to tweak was the handoff between the 2 access points. Enabling the roaming assistant on the main unit to kick devices off when the 5 GHz signal got too weak seemed to solve that issue. Apparently, devices tend to cling to a weaker signal even when a stronger access point is nearby. Overall, the experience has been great, seeing it as a H.
That's it for this one. If you found this helpful, tap that like button and subscribe for more. Got thoughts? Questions? Let's talk in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.